Beer on the Run podcast.
Beer on the Run podcast.
This is what you need. You don't even know you need it, but you need it. Trust me.
You need this in your life.
This in your life.
Thursday is Sloppy Moose.
Strange. Okay. All right. I say, who is Ted Danson to Ted Danson?
I could do a naked beer mile.
I really enjoy doing this.
Yeah, it's cool for me. I think I've been on maybe one other beer podcast. So yeah, I've had a lot of requests lately, and any of them that like to talk about beer, I'm 2 thumbs up.
So Camille, do you want to quickly introduce yourself, both your
Sure.
running side and your beer side?
Sure. Yeah. So I'm Camille Herron. I am born and raised in Oklahoma. We now live in Alamosa, Colorado. And I grew up as mostly a basketball player, but went out for track in the 7th grade and found out that was kind of my calling in life. So yeah, just took off with the running and ran. I was a state champion in high school in track and ran collegiately, University of Tulsa. And then I actually had a lot of injuries when I was in high school and college, and became a recreational runner for several years. And then I met my husband, Connor, who got me back into running competitively as an adult. He made the Olympic marathon trials in 2004. And then the tables turned after that, and he started coaching me, and my running career took off. So I made 4 Olympic marathon trials. I'm sorry, not 4. I've only made 3. I made 3 Olympic marathon trials, U.S. team in the marathon at the 2011 Pan American Games. And I was running a lot of marathons. I was sponsored by marathonguide.com. Who has a really popular website for finding marathons, and was running lots of marathons. Everybody was like, hey, you got to try this ultra trail running. So yeah, I ran my first ultra at Two Oceans in 2013. Then I tried to run Comrades in 2014 and didn't go so well. And then I said, I'm going to recommit myself to ultra running in 2015. And that's when my running career took off as an ultra runner. So here I am. I'm 39 and full-fledged ultra trail runner, and sponsored by Hoka Ani Ani now.
So you're saying Connor eliminated all the injuries that you had in high school and college, and then it took him coaching you, and all that went away.
Yeah. I really think the difference was, so Connor was a really good runner. He gets kind of embarrassed when we start talking about him, but he was a 6-time All-American at the University of Oklahoma. So he was a very good runner. And after college, he got his U.S. citizenship around the time that he met me, and he was able to qualify for the Olympic marathon trials. So he was my inspiration to get back into it. I was helping him. I was his crew in the marathon. I used to go drive his long runs with him. And I mean, the furthest I had ever gone was about 12 miles, and he's doing 22 miles, and I'm driving and, studying my textbooks in college. And I would pop out of the car and hand him drinks and, gels or whatever. And so, yeah, I basically got back into it because of him, and he taught me how to train properly. I mean, as a high schooler and college runner, we were just overtraining. We were, every day was hammering it as hard as we could. And I had to learn how to run easy to recover. And so that was really the thing that Connor taught me, was how to take my easy days easy and my hard days hard. And then also just living the lifestyle of an elite athlete. I lived it with him, making sure I'm a college student. So I was a recreational runner, college student, used to go to parties on the weekend, and was a pretty normal person for several years. So living and training with him, he's, go to bed at 10 o'clock and just eating really well. And so he just really changed my perspective on what it takes. So.
Yeah. And so this also is, so it's both a running podcast and a beer podcast. lot of people in the ultra world know your fondness of beer, but it also seems like you're very knowledgeable too, especially of homebrewing too. I've seen you go back and forth with Clint about some of the homebrewing he's been doing.
Yeah. So this I guess my beer story is so I'm a science person, and I really got interested in beer when lived in Montana for a summer back in 2003. And so there's a lot of really good beers up in Montana. And in fact, I was started. This is before we had the app, the Tapped. Whatchamacallit. This was long before all that. So I used to collect the beer caps of like every beer I had, and I like would make them into magnets and put them on the refrigerator, so I could remember all the beers I was having when I was in Montana. That's kind of geeky, but that's how I remembered all the beers I was having. And so, yeah, that was kind of what piqued my interest in beer. And then when I got to grad school, I studied bone and exercise, and like everybody in my lab was into like home brewing and making wine. And I'm taking on my science and nutrition and biochem courses. And I learned about like how good the alcohol moderation is for musculoskeletal health. And so I was more of a social drinker at that time, but I got really I'm loving the science behind beer, behind alcohol. And so I started drinking like daily, like a beer with dinner because I knew it was healthy. Being a bone and exercise person and the runner as well, I wanted to do the things I could do to maximize my health. So then after I graduated grad school and we were at Purdue and I was working in the nutrition department, there was a thrower. He's made several U.S. teams. His name's Russ Winger. And so he was selling his brew kit, and he knew that we were really like beer connoisseurs. And so he offered to sell his brew kit to Connor back in 2008. And so that was pretty much how it started. We became homebrewers from there. And we were regular homebrewers from about 2008. Like we brewed a batch every month from 2008 to 2017. And then once I got into my ultra running, I was traveling more. I haven't really been into that lately, but I'm a scientist, and I mean, I had it mastered. I can tell you all about temperatures and yeast and just the cleanliness of, trying to make sure it's not tainted. And I see Clint shaking his head. He's figuring that out. Super fun. So
we've now had two scientists on here in the health and fitness space say that alcohol is good for you. So there you have it.
Beer is good for you. Beer is good for you. Beer is good for muscular health, and Jack will be cutting that out, and that will be a clip for
I'll put it next to Sarah's clip.
Yeah.
And Clint, what are you drinking today? I saw you had a dark beer earlier.
I actually am drinking a dark beer, and it's High Water Brewing Campfire Stout. And
ooh,
so good. And it's a normal beer. I'm not going fancy, anything else. Everybody's had one, and there's a reason everybody's had one. They're killing it.
Yeah, that's the one I had when we're talking to Jen. No, to Bree. I was drinking that beer, yeah.
It made me want to have a campfire stout is what it did.
Wow, that's good.
And I'm drinking from my local brewery. Just celebrated their 1-year anniversary. Good Society. They opened on Valentine's Day 2020, right before the world closed down. And this is a double IPA from them, the Nuclear Kitty Eyes. It's quite delicious.
Awesome. Yeah, well, I'm actually going to go for a run after I talk with y'all. But the beer that we've been drinking, actually, hold on, let me go get it just one second. Hold on. So I don't know if you guys have had the Rogue Bat Squatch. So it's a hazy IPA, and by Rogue, and it's pretty solid. Like we've really been into the hazy IPAs the past year. Being at home has been kind of fun because we're like, oh, there's all these like good Colorado beers that we hadn't tried, and we've really been into like the double IPAs and the hazy IPAs the past year. So I've been trying to expand my knowledge on the hazy IPAs.
So I know you recently made a trip out to California.
Yeah.
You went back home via the South route because you're moving to Flagstaff. Where did you pick up Rogue then?
Yeah, so the whole connection with Rogue, and so I went to grad school at Oregon State, and obviously Rogue is up in Portland, and they're in Newport on the coast. And so when we got married, we had the hazelnut brown ale by Rogue, like as our celebration beer after we got married, and then we went to the coast and like drank beer at the Rogue the Rogue Brewery. So we're kind of sentimental to Rogue. Like that's kind of been one of our favorite beers. But yeah, since we've been in Colorado, we've been trying a lot more Colorado beers. So
we could have gone a whole lot longer. And
we do get that magic again. It happens every year. What, the third weekend of May?
Because you have a bachelor's in toxicology?
Yeah, I do. Bachelor of Science.
And you're having a beer after a run. So please tell us that a beer is good for you after a strenuous workout.
It is.
Yeah, around this time last year, I had finally almost achieved beer running group Nirvana.
The first thing on my mouth was, how do I quit smoking? And do you think I can run 50 miles?
It was a beautiful, brutal day.
Nailed it.